The signal came at 3 in the morning, Earth Standard Time. It cut through the silence of the United Earth Fleet Command Center like a knife. The young officer on duty almost dropped her coffee when the alert screens turned red. The message was broken, it was weak, but it was clear enough. "Please, anyone, they are killing us, please help." Officer Min stared at the screen. She had worked at Fleet Command for 2 years. She had never heard anything like this. The voice was not human. It was high and clicking like insects talking, but the fear in it was something she understood very well. She pressed the emergency button. Within 20 minutes, Admiral Park walked into the command center. She was a small woman with gray hair cut short. Her eyes were sharp and cold. She had commanded human fleets for 30 years. She had seen war. She had seen death. But when she heard the distress call, something changed in her face. "Play it again," she said. The room fell silent as the message played once more. The alien voice begged for help. In the background there were explosions. There were screams. There were sounds that no one in the room could identify, but everyone understood. Those were the sounds of people dying. "Where did this come from?" Admiral Park asked. "The home system," Min answered. "It is about 40 light years from Earth. The signal is 12 hours old." Admiral Park closed her eyes for a moment. She knew about them. Everyone in the fleet knew about them. They were a peaceful species. They looked like large mantises with soft blue shells. They had no military. They had no weapons. They were scientists and artists. They had reached out to humanity 5 years ago, offering friendship and trade. The Galactic Council had warned humanity to stay away from them. The Council said they were marked by the Dominion. They were slavers. They took weaker species and used them for labor, for experiments, for things that no one wanted to think about. The Council said it was not wise to interfere with business. Humanity had listened to the Council. Humanity had stayed away. Now they were dying. "Get me a full status on all available ships," Admiral Park ordered. "I want every vessel that can make the jump to space ready within 6 hours." The young officers in the room looked at each other. One of them, a man named Dongha, stepped forward. He was tall and thin, with nervous eyes. "Admiral," he said carefully, "the Galactic Council has made it clear that we should not involve ourselves in matters. If we send ships, we will be breaking their rules." Admiral Park turned to look at him. Her eyes were like ice. "The Galactic Council," she said slowly, "can go to hell." The room was silent. "Those people are dying," Admiral Park continued. "They sent a message to the stars begging for help. That message reached us. We heard it. We cannot it. I will not sit here and do nothing while innocent people are murdered." She walked to the main screen and pulled up a map of the galaxy. The system blinked red. "I want the First Fleet mobilized," she said. "I want the Third Fleet on standby. Contact the Marine Corps and tell them to prepare boarding teams. We are going to space, and we are going to end this." Dongha swallowed hard. "Admiral, they have a large fleet. Our intelligence says they have at least 200 warships in that sector. We would be starting a war." Admiral Park smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Good," she said. "I have been waiting for a reason to meet them." The next 6 hours were chaos. Ships that had been sleeping in orbit suddenly came alive. Engines that had been cold for months began to burn. Crews that had been on leave were called back to duty. Across Earth and its colonies, soldiers packed their bags and said goodbye to their families. Commander Ho Lee was eating breakfast when he got the call. He was a pilot, one of the best in the fleet. He commanded a squadron of fast attack ships called the Black Arrows. They were small, quick, and deadly. When he heard what was happening, he did not hesitate. He kissed his wife, hugged his daughter, and ran to the transport station. "Come back safe," his wife called after him. "I will," he promised. On the flagship, a massive carrier called the Iron Mountain, Admiral Park gathered her senior officers. There were 12 of them, men and women who had served with her for years. They looked at her with trust and respect. "You all know why we are here," she began. "They are under attack. The Dominion is destroying their world. The Galactic Council has told us to stay out of it. I am telling you that we will not stay out of it." She pressed a button and images appeared on the screen. They were pictures from space, captured by long-range sensors. They showed warships in orbit around a green planet. They showed fire raining down from the sky. They showed smoke rising from cities. "They have no way to fight back," Admiral Park said. "They have no military. They trusted the galaxy to protect them. The galaxy failed them, but we will not." Captain raised her hand. She was a young woman with a scar on her cheek. She commanded a destroyer called the Silent Blade. "Admiral, what are our rules of engagement?" she asked. Admiral Park looked at her. "They are slavers. They take people and sell them. They take children and do unspeakable things to them. Our rules of engagement are simple. We show no mercy." A murmur went through the room. Some officers nodded. Others looked uncertain. "Admiral," said an older man named Sung Ho, "if we destroy the fleet, we will make enemies. They have allies. This could start a larger war." Admiral Park nodded. "It could, but I ask you this, Sung Ho. If it was Earth under attack, if it was our children being taken, would you want someone to come help us?" Sung Ho was silent for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I would," he said. "I would want someone to come." "Then we go," Admiral Park said. "We go because it is right. We go because we are human, and humans do not abandon the helpless." The fleet gathered at the jump point. It was a sight that had not been seen in many years. 50 warships of all sizes, from small fighters to massive carriers. They floated in the darkness of space like a school of deadly fish. In his cockpit, Commander Ho Lee checked his systems one more time. His ship was ready. His weapons were loaded. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady. "All ships, this is Admiral Park," the radio crackled. "In a few moments we will jump to space. When we arrive, we will find the enemy waiting for us. They will not expect us. They think we are afraid of them. They think we will follow the rules of the Galactic Council. They are wrong." Ho smiled to himself. He had served under Admiral Park for 10 years. He had never seen her back down from anything. "They believe they are strong because they prey on the weak," Admiral Park continued. "They have never faced a species. They have never faced humans. Today, they will learn what it means to make us angry." The countdown began. 10 seconds, 9, 8. Ho thought of his daughter. She was only 7 years old. She had big eyes and a bright smile. He thought about what would happen to her if they ever came to Earth. The thought made his blood burn. 5, 4, 3. "For the," Admiral Park said. 2, 1. The fleet jumped. Space twisted and bent. Stars stretched into lines of light. For a moment, there was nothing but white noise and the feeling of being pulled in every direction at once. Then they arrived. The system was beautiful. It had a yellow sun and several planets. The third planet was green and blue, covered in forests and oceans. It should have been peaceful. It was not peaceful. Warships filled the space around the planet. There were hundreds of them, black and ugly, shaped like insects. They were firing at the planet below. Great beams of red light cut through the atmosphere, starting fires that could be seen from space. On the surface, cities were burning. Millions were dying. "All ships battle stations," Admiral Park ordered. Her voice was calm and cold. "Target the nearest enemy vessels. Fire at will." The human fleet spread out like the fingers of a hand. Weapons came online. Missiles loaded into tubes. Energy cannons charged with power. They had not noticed them yet. They were too busy destroying the planet. That was about to change. Commander Ho Lee locked onto a destroyer. It was a big ship, 3 times the size of his own. It did not matter. He had killed bigger. "Black arrows form up on me," he ordered. "We are going in." His squadron of 12 ships moved forward. They were fast and quiet, sliding through space like shadows. The first missile launched, then another, then 100 more. The destroyer exploded in a ball of fire. For a moment there was silence, then they realized they were not alone. Admiral Park opened a channel. She wanted the enemy to hear her voice. "This is Admiral Park of the United Earth Fleet," she said. "You are attacking a peaceful species under our protection. You have one chance to surrender. If you do not, we will destroy every single one of you." The commander laughed. His voice was harsh and clicking, like stones grinding together. "Humans," he said, "little from a little planet, you dare threaten the Dominion. You do not know what you have done. We will crush you and add your species to our collection." Admiral Park smiled. "We answer," she said simply. Then she cut the channel and gave the order. "All ships attack." The battle for space had begun. The first human missiles hit the fleet like a hammer. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. Ships that had been raining fire on the planet below suddenly found themselves under attack. Commander Ho-Lee flew his ship through the chaos. His squadron, the Black Arrows, moved like a pack of wolves. They were fast, they were deadly, and they were very, very angry. "Target the weapon systems," Ho ordered. "Take out their guns first, then we hit their engines." His pilots followed his commands without question. They had trained for years. They had practiced these moves 1,000 times, but this was not practice. This was real, and it felt good. A cruiser turned to face them. It was big and ugly, covered in weapons. It fired a stream of red energy at the Black Arrows. Ho pulled his ship hard to the left. The energy beam passed so close that he could feel the heat through his cockpit, but he did not slow down. He kept flying straight at the enemy. "Missiles away," he said calmly. 4 missiles shot from his ship. They were small but powerful. They hit the cruiser's front shield and broke through. The ship shook and began to spin. "Finish it," Ho ordered. His wingman, a young pilot named One Hand, flew past and fired 2 more missiles. They hit the cruiser's engine. The ship exploded into pieces. "Good shot," Ho said. "Thank you, Commander," One replied. Her voice was steady, but Ho could hear the excitement in it. This was her first real battle. On the flagship Iron Mountain, Admiral Park watched the battle unfold. Screens covered every wall, showing different parts of the fight. Green dots were human ships. Red dots were ships. There were a lot more red dots than green. But the green dots were winning. "Status report," Admiral Park ordered. "We have destroyed 23 enemy vessels," her tactical officer reported. "We have lost 2 ships, the destroyer Swift Current and the frigate Morning Star." Admiral Park closed her eyes for a moment. 2 ships. That meant crews. That meant families who would get bad news. She felt the weight of it on her shoulders. But she could not stop, not now. "Continue the attack," she said. "Push them back from the planet." The human fleet moved forward. They fought in ways they had never seen before. Human ships worked together like a single body. When one ship was in danger, others came to help. When one ship fell, the others fought harder. They were not used to this. They were used to fighting species that ran away. They were used to easy victories. They did not know how to handle an enemy that would not give up. Captain pushed her destroyer, the Silent Blade, into the heart of the enemy formation. Her ship was fast and had heavy guns. It cut through ships like a knife through paper. "Captain, we are taking heavy fire," her first officer warned. "Shields are at 60%. "Keep going," ordered. "We need to reach their command ship." She had spotted it earlier. The flagship was larger than the others. It sat at the back of their formation, giving orders. If they could take it out, the enemy would fall apart. The Silent Blade shook as another enemy attack hit them. Alarms started ringing. Lights flickered. "Shields at 40%, the first officer said. "Keep going," repeated. Her crew did not argue. They trusted her. She had never failed them before. A destroyer moved to block their path. It was almost as big as the silent blade. Its weapons were pointed directly at them. Made a decision in less than a second. All power to forward guns, she ordered. Fire everything. The silent blade's weapons lit up the darkness. Missiles, energy beams, and rounds all hit the enemy ship at once. The destroyer tried to shoot back, but it was too slow. Its shields failed. Its hull cracked. It broke apart in a shower of metal and fire. The silent blade flew through the debris without slowing down. That was close, the first officer breathed. The next one will be closer, said with a small smile. On the planet below, they could see the battle in their sky. They had been hiding underground for days, waiting to die. Now they watched as strange new ships fought. The elder was very old, even for a. His shell was pale blue and cracked with age. He had lived for 200 years. He had seen many things, but he had never seen anything like this. Who are they? A young asked. Her name was. She was barely 20 years old. She should have been in school learning to paint. Instead, she was hiding in a dark tunnel, waiting for death. I do not know, admitted, but they came when we called. They came to help us. Why? Asked. The Galactic Council told everyone to leave us alone. Why would anyone come? Watch the flashes of light in the sky. Ships were dying up there. Beings were fighting and falling. For them. For the. Perhaps, he said slowly, not everyone listens to the Council. Back in space, the battle grew more fierce. The commander realized that he was losing. This was not possible. They were the strongest. They had conquered dozens of species. They had never lost a war. But now these humans were tearing his fleet apart. All ships regroup, he ordered. Form a defensive line, stop their advance. The ships tried to follow his command. They pulled back and formed a wall between the humans and the planet. Their weapons pointed outward, ready to fire. Admiral Park saw what they were doing. She smiled. It was not a nice smile. They are making a wall, she said to her officers. They think that will stop us. What are your orders, Admiral? Sung-Ho asked. We break through, Admiral Park said simply. All ships, concentrate fire on the center of their formation. We are going to punch a hole right through them. The human fleet changed its shape. Instead of spreading out, they came together in a point. The flagship Iron Mountain was at the front. Smaller ships formed up behind it like an arrow. This is Admiral Park to all ships, she announced. Prepare for breakthrough attack. Stay close, stay focused, and remember why we are here. Ho Lee heard the order and moved his squadron into position. His heart was pounding, but his mind was clear. This was what he had trained for his whole life. Black arrows on me, he said. We are the tip of the spear. His 12 ships moved to the very front of the formation. They would be the first to hit the enemy line. They would take the most fire. They might not all survive. But none of them complained. None of them asked to be moved to a safer position. They were human. This was what humans did. Beginning attack run, Ho announced. All pilots pick your targets and fire at will. The black arrows shot forward. They were fast and small, hard to hit. They flew straight at the wall of ships. They opened fire. Red beams of death filled the space ahead. It looked like a wall of fire. No one should be able to fly through it. Ho flew through it. He twisted and turned his ship. He dodged energy beams by centimeters. He felt the heat of near misses. He heard warnings screaming in his ears, but he kept flying. Behind him, his squadron followed. Not all of them made it. 2 ships were hit. They exploded in balls of flame. Good pilots, good people, gone. But the rest got through. They hit the line like bullets. Their missiles found targets. Their guns tore through enemy shields. They created chaos and confusion. And behind them came the rest of the human fleet. The Iron Mountain was the biggest ship in the attack. It was old but strong. Its shields were thick. Its guns were powerful. It hit the line like a fist. Enemy weapons fired at it from all sides. Its shields flickered and flashed, but they held. "Forward guns fire," Admiral Park ordered. The Iron Mountain's main cannons unleashed their power. 2 cruisers in their path simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next they were gone. The human fleet poured through the gap. They spread out on the other side of the line. Now the enemy was between them and the planet. They were surrounded. "This is impossible," the commander screamed. "Impossible." But it was happening. His fleet was being destroyed. Ships that had conquered planets were now dying in the cold of space. Crews that had taken millions of slaves were now burning. "All ships retreat," the commander finally ordered. "Fall back to the jump point." They began to run. They turned their ships away from the battle and tried to escape. They left their wounded ships behind. They left their own people behind. They cared only about saving themselves. Admiral Park watched them run. Her eyes were hard. "Admiral," Sung-Ho said carefully, "they are retreating. We have won. Should we let them go?" Admiral Park was silent for a long moment. She thought about the signal that had started all of this. She thought about the begging for help. She thought about the children that they had probably already taken. "No," she said finally. "We do not let them go. We follow them. We hunt them. We destroy every single ship." "Admiral, if we do that, we will be showing the galaxy what happens when you hurt innocent people," Admiral Park cut him off. "We will be showing them that there is no safe place for slavers, no corner of space where they can hide, no mercy for those who prey on the weak." She turned to face her officers. Her face was like stone. "The took children," she said. "They might still have some on their ships. We are going to get those children back. We are going to return them to their families, and anyone who stands in our way will die." No one argued. No one could argue with that. "All ships," Admiral Park announced, "pursue the enemy. Do not let them escape. Today we teach the galaxy that humanity protects the innocent." The human fleet turned and followed the running. On the planet below, they watched the fires in their sky begin to fade. The terrible ships that had been killing them were leaving. Something had driven them away. Elder looked up through the broken ceiling of his shelter. He saw human ships chasing ships. He saw slavers running in fear. "Who are these beings?" asked again. Thought about it for a long moment. Then he remembered an old word, a word from ancient stories, a word for beings who came from darkness to save the innocent. "I think," he said slowly, "they are called guardians." Above them, the hunt continued, and they learned what it meant to make enemies of the from Earth. The fleet ran like frightened animals. Their ships scattered in every direction trying to escape the human hunters behind them. But the humans were faster. The humans were angrier, and the humans did not stop. Commander Ho Lee pushed his ship to its limits. His engine screamed. His fuel was running low, but he did not care. He had seen what they had done to the planet. He had seen the burning cities. He had seen the fear in the alien signal. Now he was going to make them pay. "Black arrows form hunting pattern," he ordered. "We take them down one by one." His squadron spread out. They had lost 4 ships in the breakthrough attack. 8 remained. 8 angry pilots with weapons ready. A frigate was trying to reach the jump point. It was small and fast, but not fast enough. Ho caught up to it in minutes. "Vessel, this is Commander Lee of the United Earth Fleet," he broadcast. "Stop your engines and surrender. This is your only warning." The frigate did not stop. Instead, it turned and fired at him. Ho dodged the attack easily. Then he fired back. His missiles hit the frigate's engine. The ship shook and began to spin. It was disabled but not destroyed. "All crew abandon ship," Ho ordered. "We will take you prisoner." For a moment, nothing happened. Then escape pods began shooting out from the frigate. Small metal balls carrying crew members. They floated in space, waiting to be picked up. Ho marked their location for the rescue ships. Then he moved on to find his next target. Not all ships surrendered. Some kept fighting until the end. Some tried to use tricks and traps. Some even turned their weapons on their own escape pods to stop their crews from talking. The humans learned quickly which ships had prisoners aboard. These were the slave ships. They were larger than the others with big cargo holds. They used them to carry captured aliens. Captain found one of these ships trying to hide behind a moon. It was not fighting. It was just hiding, hoping no one would notice it. Noticed it. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," she ordered. The response came in broken English. "We are, transport, no weapons, please no shoot." Checked her sensors. The ship was huge, much bigger than her destroyer, but its weapons were tiny. It was not built for fighting, it was built for carrying. "Carrying what?" "What is your cargo?" demanded. There was a long silence. Then a different voice came on the radio. This one was cold and angry. "We carry slaves, human, hundreds of them. If you attack us, we will kill them all, every single one. You will be responsible for their deaths." Felt her blood freeze. Then it began to boil. "You would kill your own cargo?" she asked. "They are not our cargo anymore," the captain said. "They are our shields. If you want them alive, you will let us go." His hands shook on her controls. She wanted to fire. She wanted to blow that ship out of space. But if she did, hundreds of innocent people would die. She opened a channel to the Iron Mountain. "Admiral, I have a situation," she reported. "Slave ship with living cargo. They are threatening to kill the prisoners if we attack." There was a moment of silence. Then Admiral Park's voice came through. "Hold position, Captain. Do not attack. I am sending boarding teams." Let out a breath she did not know she was holding. "Understood, Admiral." The slave ship sat there, thinking it had won. The captain believed that the humans would not risk the lives of strangers. He believed he could use innocent people as shields. He was wrong. Lieutenant was a Marine. He had trained for years to board enemy ships. He had practiced in simulators, in training bases, on old ships marked for destruction. He had never done it for real. Until now. "Listen up," he told his team. "We are going in fast and quiet. The ship has maybe 50 crew members. Our job is to take them down before they can hurt the prisoners. No mistakes. No hesitation. Clear." "Clear," his team responded. There were 20 of them, all human, all ready to die for people they had never met. Their shuttle approached the slave ship from below. They could not see them coming. They were too busy watching Captain's destroyer. The shuttle attached to the slave ship's hull with a soft thump. Lieutenant activated the cutting torch. The metal began to glow red, then white. In 30 seconds, they had a hole big enough to climb through. "Go, go, go," whispered. His team poured into the ship. They moved like ghosts, quiet and fast. The first guard did not even see them coming. One moment he was standing watch. The next moment he was on the floor, unconscious. They moved through the ship in pairs. Each time they found her, they took them down without a sound. Stun weapons, quick strikes, no killing unless necessary. But some fought back. Some had weapons. Some did not want to surrender. Private was the youngest on the team. She was barely 22 years old. When a soldier jumped out at her with a blade, she did not hesitate. She blocked the attack, twisted the weapon away, and knocked him out with a single punch. "Nice work," her partner said. Just nodded and kept moving. They found the cargo hold in the center of the ship. It was locked with heavy doors. Through the small window they could see dozens of huddled together. They were thin and scared. Some were injured. Some were very young. Lieutenant felt his heart break. Then it hardened into something like iron. "Open it," he ordered. One of his engineers got to work on the lock. It took precious minutes. Every second felt like an hour. Finally, the door clicked open. The inside screamed and backed away. They thought they had come to hurt them again. "Easy, easy," said softly. He held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "We are humans. We are here to help you. You are safe now." One of them, an older female with a cracked shell, stepped forward slowly. Her eyes were full of fear and hope. "Help?" she asked. Her English was broken but clear. "You help us." "Yes," said. "We came because you called for help. We are going to take you home." The female made a sound that might have been crying. Others around her began to do the same. They were crying. They were laughing. They were alive. "Move them to the shuttle," ordered his team. "Carefully, some of them are hurt." His Marines worked gently. They carried the weak. They guided the scared. They spoke soft words of comfort even though most of them could not understand them. But they understood enough. They understood that they were being rescued. They understood that someone had come for them. On the bridge of the slave ship, the captain was getting nervous. He had not heard from his guards in several minutes. His threats to kill the prisoners were not working. The human destroyer was still there, watching. Something was wrong. He reached for his communicator to check on the cargo hold. Before he could speak, the door to the bridge opened. Lieutenant stood there with his team. "Hands up," said calmly. "You are under arrest." The captain reached for his weapon. It was the last mistake he ever made. 10 minutes later, the slave ship was under human control. The crew was in chains. The prisoners were being moved to safety, and Captain finally allowed herself to smile. "Admiral Park, the ship is ours," she reported. "We have recovered 237 prisoners. Most are alive and stable." "Well done, Captain," Admiral Park replied. "Well done to all of you." Across the battlefield, similar scenes were happening. Human boarding teams hit ship after ship. Some surrendered quickly. Others fought to the death. But in the end, the result was always the same. The humans won. By the time the battle was over, the fleet was destroyed. 187 enemy ships had been eliminated. 42 had been captured. Less than 30 had managed to escape into jump space. The human fleet had lost 11 ships. 312 humans had died. Admiral Park read the casualty reports in silence. Each name was a person. Each name was a family that would receive terrible news. She would write letters to all of them. She would tell them that their loved ones died heroes. It was not enough. It would never be enough, but it was all she could do. Admiral Sung-ho said quietly, "We have incoming communications from the planet." Admiral Park looked up. "Put it through." The screen flickered, then a face appeared. It was old and tired but alive. His eyes were full of tears. "Human Admiral," he said, "I am Elder of the Council. We watched the battle from our shelters. We saw what you did for us." Admiral Park nodded slowly. "We heard your call for help. We came as fast as we could." "Why?" asked. His voice cracked with emotion. "The galaxy told you to stay away. They are powerful enemies. Why did you come?" Admiral Park thought about the question. She thought about all the reasons she could give. Politics, strategy, resources. But in the end, there was only one true answer. "Because it was the right thing to do," she said simply. "Because you needed help, because we could help. That is all the reason we needed." Was silent for a long moment. Then he lowered his head in what seemed to be a bow. "We'll never forget this," he said. "You saved us from death. You saved our children from slavery. We owe you everything." Admiral Park shook her head. "You owe us nothing, just live, rebuild, be happy. That is all we ask." The communication ended. Admiral Park sat back in her chair and closed her eyes. Around her, the bridge crew worked in quiet efficiency. The battle was over. The war was just beginning. But for now, they had won. They had saved innocent people. They had done something good. And that was enough. 3 days had passed since the battle. The human fleet still orbited the planet, helping with rescue and recovery. Medical ships had arrived from Earth. Engineers were helping repair damaged buildings. Soldiers were searching the wreckage of ships for survivors. And they were hunting the ones who got away. Admiral Park stood in the command center of the Iron Mountain. In front of her was a map showing the nearby star systems. 27 ships had escaped during the battle. They had jumped to different locations, trying to scatter and hide. They were not going to hide for long. "We have tracked 18 ships to this area," Sung-ho reported, pointing to a cluster of stars. "They appear to be gathering at a supply station. Intelligence suggests they are waiting for reinforcements." Admiral Park studied the map carefully. "How long until reinforcements arrive?" "Our best estimate is 48 hours. "Then we have 48 hours to finish this," Admiral Park said. "Prepare the attack fleet. We leave in 6 hours." The officers began their work. Ships were refueled. Weapons were reloaded. Crews got what sleep they could. Commander Ho Lee sat in the small room that served as his quarters. He was tired. 3 days of fighting and hunting had worn him down. His hands shook when he held them up. His eyes burned from staring at screens. But he could not rest, not yet. A knock came at his door. It was One Han, his wingman. She looked as tired as he felt. "Commander," she said, "the Admiral has called a briefing. We move out soon." Ho nodded and stood up. "How are you holding up?" One was quiet for a moment. "I keep thinking about the people we saved, the ones from the slave ships. Did you see the children, Commander?" "I saw them. Some of them were so small," one said. Her voice was thick with emotion. "So small, and they were so scared. What kind of monsters steal children?" Ho put a hand on her shoulder. "The kind of monsters we are going to destroy. Come on, let us finish this." The briefing room was full of officers. Admiral Park stood at the front, her face hard as stone. Behind her, the map showed the supply station. "This is our target," she began. "The station is defended by the remains of the fleet. They know we are coming. They will fight hard because they have nowhere else to run." She pressed a button and the map zoomed in on the station. It was big and ugly, built from metal and hatred. Around it, warships waited like guard dogs. "Our goal is simple," Admiral Park continued. "We destroy the station. We destroy every ship. We capture any prisoners they might still have. And we send a message to the Dominion that their days of slavery are over." Captain raised her hand. "Admiral, what about the Galactic Council? They have been sending angry messages since we arrived." Admiral Park smiled coldly. "The Galactic Council can continue sending their messages. I will read them when we return, or I will not. Either way, we are not stopping." A few officers laughed quietly. The rest just nodded. "We jump in 8 hours, Admiral Park said. Be ready." The fleet gathered at the jump point once more. This time, there were fewer ships. Many had been damaged in the first battle and needed repairs, but the ones that remained were hungry for the fight. The Iron Mountain was at the center, surrounded by destroyers and cruisers. The black arrows flew in formation nearby, ready to strike. Boarding teams waited in their shuttles, hopping for more prisoners to rescue. "All ships, this is Admiral Park," the radio announced. "We are about to jump into enemy territory. They think they are safe at their station. They think we will not follow them this far. They think we will give up and go home." She paused, letting her words sink in. "They are wrong. We do not stop until the job is done. We do not stop until every slaver is dead or in chains. We do not stop until the galaxy knows that humanity does not abandon the innocent. Jump in 3, 2, 1. Space bent around them. Stars stretched into lines. Then they were there. The supply station was even bigger in person. It was a massive structure built over many years. Ships could dock inside it. Weapons covered every surface. It was a fortress. And it was surrounded by enemies. The remaining ships turned to face the humans. There were 18 of them, plus the station's own defenses. They were outnumbered, but they were not weak. "Human fleet, you have made a grave mistake," a voice broadcast. "You have come into our territory. You have attacked our people. The Dominion will never forgive this. You will all die here." Admiral Park did not bother to respond. She simply gave the order. Attack! The battle began with fire and fury. Missiles flew in every direction. Energy beams cut through the darkness. Ships exploded like fireworks. Commander Ho Lee led his squadron straight at the station's defenses. The Black Arrows were down to 7 ships now, 7 pilots against a fortress. Hit their gun placements, Ho ordered. Take out as many as you can. His pilots obeyed without question. They flew close to the station's surface, dodging fire and dropping bombs. Each explosion destroyed another weapon. Each run made the fortress a little weaker. A fighter appeared in front of Ho. It was small and fast, piloted by someone who knew how to fly. For a moment they danced around each other, neither able to get a clear shot. Then Ho did something unexpected. He cut his engines and let his ship drift. The pilot was surprised. He flew past, trying to turn around. In that moment of confusion, Ho fired. The fighter exploded. "Nice move, Commander," one said over the radio. "Thank you, now focus. We still have work to do." Inside the station, the command was falling apart. Their fleet was being destroyed ship by ship. The humans were too fast, too smart, too angry. The station commander was a huge name. He had led raids on dozens of worlds. He had taken millions of slaves. He had never known fear. Until now. "Get me a ship," he ordered. "I am leaving." "Commander, if you leave, the crew will." "I do not care about the crew," screamed. "Get me a ship now." He ran to the docking bay, leaving his officers to die. He did not look back. He did not care about anyone but himself. A small ship was waiting for him. It was a personal transport, fast enough to escape. He climbed aboard and started the engines. Outside, the battle raged. He could see human ships everywhere. They were winning. They were destroying everything he had built. Did not care. He just wanted to survive. He flew the transport out of the docking bay and headed away from the battle. If he could just reach the jump point, he could escape. He could find other. He could rebuild. He never reached the jump point. Captain saw the transport leaving the station. Her sensors told her that someone important was on board. She made a decision. "Transport vessel, stop your engines immediately," she ordered. "You are under arrest." The transport did not stop. Instead, it went faster. Sighed, why do they always run? She fired a single shot. It was not meant to kill. It was meant to disable. The transport's engine died. The ship began to drift, pulled alongside it and locked on with her docking clamps. "Boarding team, you have a prisoner to collect," she announced. Minutes later, was in chains on the deck of the Silent Blade. He was surrounded by human soldiers who looked at him with disgust. Lieutenant stood in front of him. "You are the station commander." Said nothing. Leaned closer. "We found the holding cells on the station. We found the prisoners you were keeping. Children, old people, families. You were going to sell them all." Still said nothing, but his eyes showed fear. "You are going to pay for what you have done," said quietly. "Not today. Today we are taking you to trial. You will answer for your crimes in front of the entire galaxy. Everyone will know what you are." Finally spoke. His voice was harsh and hateful. "The Dominion will come for you. They will burn your planets. They will enslave your species. You have started a war you cannot win." Smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Maybe," he said, "but you will not be there to see it. Take him away." The soldiers dragged to a holding cell. He screamed and cursed the entire way. Back in space, the battle was ending. The station was in pieces. Their ships were destroyed or captured. The supply base that had supported their slave raids was gone. Admiral Park looked at the destruction with tired eyes. So much death, so much fire, but it was necessary, it was justice. "Status report," she ordered. "Station destroyed," Sung Ho reported. "All 18 enemy ships eliminated or captured. We recovered 112 prisoners from the station's holding cells. Most are in stable condition. Our losses. Sung-ho was quiet for a moment. 3 ships destroyed, 84 casualties. Admiral Park closed her eyes. More names, more letters to write, more families to mourn. And the enemy commander. Captured, Sung-ho said. Captain got him as he was trying to escape. Admiral Park allowed herself a small smile. Of course she did. Tell Captain she did excellent work. The fleet began to gather its wounded and its dead. Medical ships moved between the debris, looking for survivors. Marines searched the wreckage of the station for any prisoners they might have missed. They found some. They always found some. Commander Ho Lee landed his ship in the Iron Mountains hangar bay. He was exhausted. His ship was damaged. His squadron had lost 2 more pilots in the battle. But they had won. As he climbed out of his cockpit, he saw other pilots doing the same. They were tired and sad and proud all at once. They had done something that mattered. One walked over to him. Her face was pale, but she was smiling. "We did it, Commander," she said. "We did," Ho agreed. "But it is not over yet. There are still out there, still slaves to free, still work to do." One nodded. "Then we will do it, whatever it takes." Ho looked at her and felt something like hope. These young people, his pilots, his crew, they were the future of humanity, and they were fighters. They had no idea what they had started. 1 month had passed since the battle at the supply station. The galaxy was still talking about what the humans had done. On Prime, the green planet that had nearly been destroyed, life was slowly returning to normal. The fires had stopped burning. The cities were being rebuilt. The people were no longer afraid to look at the sky. A great ceremony was being held in the capital city. Thousands of gathered in the central plaza, their blue shells shining in the sunlight. They had come to say thank you. Admiral Park stood on a platform at the center of the crowd. She wore her formal uniform, covered in medals and ribbons. Behind her stood some of her officers. Commander Ho Lee, Captain, Lieutenant. They looked uncomfortable in front of so many eyes. Elder walked slowly to the platform. He was old and tired, but his eyes were bright with joy. "People of," he announced, his voice carrying across the plaza. "We gather today to honor those who saved us. When our world was burning, when our children were being taken, when we had lost all hope, the humans came. They did not know us. They had no reason to help us, but they came anyway." The crowd made a sound that was something like applause. Thousands of clicking voices, all expressing the same thing. Gratitude. Turn to face Admiral Park. "Admiral, we owe you everything, our lives, our freedom, our future. How can we ever repay such a debt?" Admiral Park stepped forward. She looked out at the crowd of alien faces and saw something familiar. She saw parents holding children. She saw friends standing together. She saw people who had been scared but were now safe. Just like humans, different on the outside, the same on the inside. "Elders," she said, "you owe us nothing. We came because you needed help. We came because that is what we do. When we heard your call, we could not ignore it. We would not ignore it." She paused and looked at her officers behind her. "I did not save you alone," she continued. "My crew, my soldiers, my pilots, they fought and died for your world. Hundreds of humans will never go home because they chose to help strangers. They knew the risk. They came anyway. That is who humans are." The crowd was silent, listening to every word. "We do not ask for payment," Admiral Park said. "We do not ask for praise. All we ask is that you remember. Remember that when you were in the dark, someone came with light. Remember that you are not alone in this galaxy. And if you ever see someone else in need, if you ever hear another cry for help, remember what we did here. And do the same." Bowed his head. When he looked up, tears were streaming down his face. "We will remember," he said, "though we'll never forget." Across the galaxy, news of what had happened spread like fire. The humans had attacked the Dominion. The humans had destroyed their fleet. The humans had freed hundreds of slaves and brought a war criminal to justice. The Galactic Council was furious. They sent message after message demanding that humanity stop its aggression. They threatened sanctions. They threatened isolation. They threatened war. Admiral Park ignored them all. "Let them threaten," she told her officers. "We did the right thing. History will judge us kindly." But not everyone in the galaxy agreed with the Council. On dozens of worlds, species who had suffered under the celebrated. They had been afraid for so long. Now they had hope. Messages began arriving at Earth. Some were written, some were recorded, some were barely understandable, but they all said the same thing. "Thank you." A species called the small beings who had been enslaved for generations sent a message that brought tears to those who read it. "We thought no one would ever come for us. We thought we were forgotten. Now we know we were wrong. The humans remember. The humans care. We will never be slaves again." A group of escaped prisoners from a mining camp managed to reach human space. They were from 12 different species, all mixed together. They told stories of cruelty and suffering. They also told stories of hope. "In the camps, we would whisper to each other about one of them said. "We heard rumors that humans were different, that they would not stand by while others suffered. We did not believe it. We thought it was just a dream. Now we know it was true." The Dominion was in chaos. Their fleet had been shattered. Their supply station was destroyed. Their commanders were dead or captured. Other species they had oppressed began to rise up. On a distant planet, a governor watched as his slaves broke free. They stormed his palace and dragged him into the street. The last thing he saw was a banner painted with human words. "No mercy." Back on Prime, the ceremony was ending. They had given Admiral Park and her officers gifts, crystals from deep underground, art pieces that had survived the bombing, seeds from plants that grew nowhere else in the galaxy. Admiral Park accepted them all with grace, but the gift she valued most was something she could not hold in her hands. It was the sight of children playing in the plaza. These children should have been dead. They should have been slaves. Instead, they were laughing and running and being children, because humans had come to help. Commander Ho Lee stood beside her, watching the children play. "It was worth it," he said quietly. Admiral Park nodded. It was always going to be worth it. Captain joined them. She was holding a small child who had wandered over to the humans. The child seemed fascinated by her uniform buttons. Admiral said, "What happens now? They will want revenge. The Council will try to punish us. We have made a lot of enemies." Admiral Park looked at the child in his arms, so small, so innocent, so alive because of what they had done. "We keep going," she said. "There are other species out there being oppressed, other children being taken, other worlds being destroyed. The galaxy is full of evil, Captain, and as long as that evil exists, humanity will fight against it." "Even if we stand alone?" asked. Admiral Park smiled. "I do not think we will stand alone. Look around you. They are our friends now. Other species will join us. The galaxy is changing, Captain, and we are the ones changing it." Lieutenant walked over with news. "Admiral, we have received a communication from Earth. The government has officially approved the creation of a new fleet. They are calling it the Liberation Force. Its mission will be to respond to distress calls from any species in the galaxy." Admiral Park's smile grew wider. Now that is good news. The ceremony ended as the sun began to set. They returned to their homes, carrying hope in their hearts. The humans returned to their ships, ready for whatever came next. In orbit above the planet, the Iron Mountain hung like a silent guardian. Its crew was tired but proud. They had done something that mattered. They had saved lives. They had changed history. Admiral Park stood on the bridge, looking down at the green world below. She thought about all the battles she had fought, all the decisions she had made, all the lives that had been lost and saved. It had been worth it, every sacrifice, every death, every moment of fear and doubt. Because in the end, they had done the right thing. A communication came through from the planet. It was Elder. "Admiral Park," he said, "before you leave, there is something I want you to know. We have made a decision that will no longer be neutral. We will stand with humanity. Wherever you go, we will go. Whatever you fight, we will fight beside you." Admiral Park felt something warm in her chest, pride perhaps, or gratitude, or both. "Elder," she said, "welcome to the fight." The Iron Mountain turned away from Prime and headed for deep space. Behind it, a small ship followed. It was the beginning of something new. Something powerful. Something that the galaxy would never forget. Across the stars, word continued to spread. The humans were coming, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to help, to protect, to show mercy to the innocent and no mercy to those who preyed upon them. On a small planet at the edge of known space, a young alien looked up at the night sky. She had heard the stories about the from Earth, stories about fierce warriors who came from a dangerous planet, stories about people who would cross the galaxy to help strangers. She wondered if the stories were true. Then she saw a light in the sky, a ship entering orbit, human markings on its hull. The stories were true. The humans had come, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same.